Welcome to Apothecary Talks. I'm Dr. Jillian Stansbury. In this series, we are offering some free tutorials for beginner herbalists to learn the art of formulation. And these segments are devoted to learning actions of herbs. This is an intro, and we'll continue on with antispasmodics and alteratives and carminatives and stimulants and so on. Skills to becoming a herbalist. Here's some formulation basic ideas. For one, be aware of both all-purpose and long-term generally supportive therapies that we can employ in our formulas. Those would be things that are helpful to digestion, all-purpose nutritive herbs, all-purpose anti-inflammatory herbs. And these can be the foundations of our formulas, and we might tweak them then with the addition of other herbs that makes them more specific for any one given individual. So some of those all-purpose herbs might be alteratives. Please refer to our segment on our alternatives separately, that are blood purifying, help digestion, improve liver function, improve the assimilation of nutrients and the elimination of wastes. Everyone can use those kinds of liver tonics, and they can be foundational. Look at adaptogens and see our other segment specifically devoted to adaptogens. But those chi tonic herbs, ginseng and medicinal mushrooms and licorice, reishi, and so on, that give us energy and improve our stress and cortisol management and help us sleep more soundly and improve feedback loops between the brain and the adrenal glands, that HPA axis. Also be aware of cost considerations. We don't need to be buying expensive chamomile supplements, for example, if a cup of chamomile tea will do. Also be aware of what herbs you can use as foods for people. Putting maca powder into your oatmeal, putting nettle powder into your smoothies, using a bit of kelp and seaweeds in your soups and stir fries, using goji berries in oatmeal, and so many different ways to improve our antioxidants, our nutrient profile, our mineral intake, our trace minerals in our daily diet. And part of being an herbalist is coaching and educating and helping brainstorm with people what sorts of foods they like and what sorts of foods can be added to their daily routine and not rely on expensive supplements. So cost considerations, and consider what herbs can be used as teas versus pills, what herbs can be used as foods versus encapsulated products. Use agents that are difficult to consume because of their bitter flavors or undesirable, unpalatable qualities. Those would be more suitable for capsules. Also, some of the most aggressive protocols when people are quite ill or we're facing fairly concerning challenges from cancer to autoimmune diseases, we might want to be aggressive in our formulations by combining a little bit of everything we just mentioned. Some pills, some teas, some food, some encapsulated products. There's other conditions that are lifelong. People who are allergic tend to be allergic their whole life. People that have osteoporosis are going to need mineral support and bone building nutrients for their entire life. People with diabetes, with heart disease, with atherosclerosis will tend to need some formulas lifelong. And it's always a good idea to find things that are food-like and nutritive and inexpensive to be the foundation of your protocols, and then just add in a few supplements as needed for cost-saving considerations. Some other basic ideas is to keep the action of herbs in mind, and that's largely what this series of small segments is devoted to, is teaching beginner herbalist actions of herbs. Those action words are adaptogen and alterative that I just mentioned. Actions can be antispasmodics, anti-inflammatories, nutritive herbs, carminative herbs, demulcent herbs, and some of our next segments will take you through all of those actions and give you lots of examples of individual herbs that fill that niche indication. Combine together herbs that offer differing actions rather than putting herbs that all have the same action in a formula. So with this tutorial being aimed at making effective herbal formulas, we try to avoid the approach to making an herbal formula with the philosophical backdrop of what is good for, quote, IBS, diabetes, and trying to just put everything into one bottle, into one tea that's good for diabetes. A more sophisticated approach would be to ask yourself, what actions do I want this formula to perform? And it might very well be blood sugar management, but all those different types of herbs that are researched to be good for glucose tolerance and diabetes and insulin resistance might all work by slightly different mechanisms of action. So instead of filling up your tincture or your tea with one target, meaning one action, insulin reception, you might have one or two insulin receptors, one or two adaptogens and liver support herbs, and one or two vascular protectants to protect the blood vessels from high blood sugar, for example. If you're treating IBS, some people with IBS have a very touchy gut, more like an allergic situation where they're sensitive to peanuts and to acids and to spices, where other people with IBS are more bothered by stress. And so IBS formulas might look very different for different people with IBS. So if we ask ourselves, what actions do I want my formula to perform? We might say we want to calm down hyperreactive gut lining and intestinal lining and combine that with something that's stress relieving and calmative to the nervous system for some individuals. So with any given patient in front of us or practicing treating yourself, ask yourself what actions you want your formula to perform. And we'll be going through many different such actions and teach you herbal materia medica as we go. Another concept is specific indications. If you have a list of this is an antispasmodic for IBS, mint and chamomile and ginger and dioscorea, for example, we might also keep in mind those particular qualities that makes chamomile a little different from mint, or dioscorea slightly different. Chamomile is often used for irritability and loose stools, and children with crankiness and tummy upset, where dioscorea is more indicated for colic and twisting, boring pains about the umbilicus and more deep spasms of intestinal smooth muscle. So you can pick and choose which herbs are most suited in any one given situation. I have published a series of textbooks, herbal formularies for healthcare professionals, available from Chelsea Green, that offer a great deal of detail in making herbal formulas. An IBS formula for a stressed person, an IBS formula for a highly allergic person, an IBS formula that's mainly constipation, an IBS formula that for a person that develops sensitivity following being on antibiotics, and so on. Each chapter is followed by a long list of Materia Medica options that teach you those specific indications. I also lead ethnobotany tours to the Andes and the Amazon, where I've been going for some 20 years. If you're interested in learning more and joining an outing group, please contact me at bghealingarts.apothecary@gmail.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you'll join other of our action series and our beginner files on the Apothecary Talks.